Morning, Ifeanyi, morning, Bukola. It's great to be here again. I can't wait to come join you guys in the studio very soon. From June, I'll start coming into the studio.
Yes. That'll be nice. That'll be nice. How was your weekend to start with?
Weekend was fine. It was busy, but it was fine. And yours? How was your weekend?
Too short. Too short.
I know it's expensive. You need to ask. You need to send that to the house.
Yeah, so we're expecting a guest this morning. I don't know if he's joined us already. Has he? Okay, while we're waiting for him, you mentioned something off the microphone about financial support for the entertainment industry. I think our guest
is coming in now.
Okay.
Hello, Henry, can you hear us?
Good morning. Yes, I can hear you.
Good morning, Henry.
Good morning, Henry.
Do you want me to put on my video?
No, not necessarily.
Just on your audio.
Okay. Yeah, my audio is on. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
So, Henry, glad to have you on the show. You're the CEO and co-founder of Curacel, an insurtech infrastructure company that helps insurtech. I beg your pardon, an infrastructure company that helps with partners that increase the functionality of insurance through cloud-based APS. So tell us more about you and what Curacel is all about.
Okay. Thank you very much for having me. Curacel is okay. Once we put on my video, Curacel is so what we believe we're doing. Our mission is to help drive insurance, increase the number of people who have access to insurance in emerging markets, and sort of like our way of doing that is to help provide technology infrastructure to the insurance stakeholders. So we're not doing sort of like our model isn't to go out and launch insurance products direct to consumer. So we believe that there are many places where you can deploy technology or new technology in the right way, and you can help solve this problem. So our strategy is to work with insurance companies and provide the right technology that they require. Our flagship product is a product called Curacel Claims. It helps insurance companies automate their claims using AI. We're currently working with about 10 insurance companies in about 3 African markets at the moment.
How old is this company?
So our Curacel 2, we officially registered the company in 2017, but we had like a year or two where it was basically just a project. It wasn't really a company. So we'd say that we pretty much started, building out the team and getting a product commercially into the market in 2019. So this product, Curacel Claims, is about 2 years old.
So what were you doing when you started?
Go on, Bukola.
Before you decided to start Curacel, what were you doing? What was your work experience?
Was my what?
Your work experience like before you started?
Okay. So my background is purely in tech. So I used to be an engineer. I used to write code. So I was mostly just writing code. So I'd done a company in the past as well. So right out of uni, I did a company for a little over a year. Worked at a consultancy at an agency for a little over a year as well. And then I did a program called MEST, Meltwater Entrepreneurial School of Technology, which is basically a program where you have to travel to it's hosted by an American company out of Ghana. And then you pretty much go there and you start companies as sort of like projects. You do that a couple of times, pitch to investors. We like to call it sort of like a mini MBA, teaching people how to start tech companies and scale tech companies. So after that, I went ahead to, register the Curacel brand and still did a couple of consultants for a couple of companies before it took off. Worked with Amplified. I got acquired by Carbon. Did a brief stint as well at 54G and then before pretty much just before Curacel kind of like got off the ground and then focused full time.
So your business speaks to insurance, I guess. I'm building insurance infrastructure for insurance for the insurance sector.
Yes.
So how do you serve not just the insurance companies, but those who are going to get insured in the market based on the technology that you say you have in place?
Yeah. So really what drives us in the company really is the impact. How do we help? Because we think so one of the core reasons we do this is that we feel insurance is valuable, right? And the reason we think it's very valuable is because our vision is to see a world where people in emerging markets, Africa, are economically empowered. And we think when people are trying to get out of prosperity, which a large percentage of people in Africa are, it's possible to protect the little they have. So, a middle class family, if the dad has an accident and has to pay out of pocket everything, you pretty much lose even his kids' school fees and all that. So we think it's very important. So we try to find most of all the products we have, we try to look at how does it impact the consumer. So the product we started out with, which was a claims management and a fraud product. So there's a direct correlation between fraud. So currently fraud costs the insurance industry about $12.8 billion every year in Africa alone. And so how it affects the consumer is, let's say you bought a premium this year at 100,000 naira, right? And if that insurance company is unable to, so typically how insurance would work would be that, insurance companies will charge a particular amount to cover you. Out of that amount, they pay out claims. Let's say about 70 to 80% of that goes into paying out claims. Another maybe like 10%, 20% is administration, right? So running the business. And then another like 5% or so is, maybe depending on the margins, is like profit. So if you as an insurance company, so typically the industry, in industry literature says is about 15 to 20% is lost to fraud at the moment. So if you lose about 15% of your gross written premiums to fraud, what's going to happen is you've basically lost the money for admin and a bit of your profit. So what you're going to do is the next year, you're going to model in that fraud into your premium. So next time when people go to buy insurance, they no longer buy it at 100,000, right? They maybe buy it at 110 or 120, right? So this is one of the biggest reasons why it's hard to grow the market, right? Because as you're trying to scale, you're also scaling your losses and the fraud. So you can't quite design products that scale. So for that particular product, we believe that the way we're helping consumers is by making sure that fraud stays low, so that insurance companies can make a profit, run efficiently, and grow and achieve growth in the market and scale in the market, right? Penetration is typically looked at as in combination with GDP. And in Nigeria right now, I think like our penetration is around 1 to 2%, right? So of the GDP. And even when you look at it as a correlation with population, we're still somewhere below like 5% or so when you look at penetration. So this is one way we're looking at that. But again, because we're very passionate about like solving this problem like holistically, so we're also building other products that have also even direct relationships. So we're also working on we have a new product where we're helping hospitals. So one of the, even with our medical product, right? So one of the big problems we realize for hospitals is as well. So they submit claims and then it takes them 3 months to get paid, 6 months for them to get paid. So next time what's going to happen is when you have insurance and you walk into a hospital, they'll tell you, hey, this insurer has not paid me. I can't serve you. So these are some of the problems we're trying to solve. I'm going to stop there so that I don't take too much time. Yeah.
You mentioned penetration and you gave some percentages. They're quite low. What do you think is the reason why? Do you think it's a mindset thing?
Yeah, so it's a couple of things, right? It's a couple of things. Obviously, I have my own opinion. Again, there are a couple of things people will tell you out there. So one of the core reasons, right? I typically say it's 3 things. One of them is obviously our economic realities, right? So our macroeconomic realities. At the particular, I was looking at something this morning that was basically showing our GDP growth in the past, 5 to 6 years at, averaging at 2 point something, 0.3%. So from an economic perspective, we're not that affluent, right? So a lot of people are struggling to make a living, right? And the way insurance, so that insurance started out as a B2B product, right? So, it used to be something you sell to businesses, people who were shipping goods across the sea, then you buy insurance. That's typically how it started. So it's a B2B product. And then it started moving out from like upper class. So at the moment, the way insurance works is it's designed for people who have disposable income, right? You need to have a bit of money. And unfortunately, that's not where most of the continent is. People don't have that much disposable income. People are living in like $1 a day. So that's one of the problems. So for us to sort of like solve that problem, we have to redesign insurance, right? So unlike companies who are starting to do that, make a micro insurance products that can be sold day to day. So another reason is also cultural, like you said, it's cultural. People aren't used to, paying for insurance in the way it's structured, right? So the way you currently insure yourself is you have friends that they need help, you provide help to them, you provide help to your siblings, and when you need help, they provide help to you. So it's kind of like community-based, your family, your friends, your church community, your Muslim community. It's like that's the way people insure themselves at the moment. So so for us to sort of like rethink those structures, we have to, formal insurance has to look at how can we tap into those existing traditional structures. And then finally, I like to say that one of the core reasons as well is distribution is expensive, right? In more mature markets where there's infrastructure, you have, it's easier to distribute. So, but here it's slightly, it's expensive to distribute. The only way to sort of like solve that problem is to start to look at technology. Is there easier ways to reach people through technologies, through mobile, through their phones? So these are sort of like the three things I think of when I think about why is penetration low.
Okay. When you talk about scaling earlier on, when
Yes.
so your business, talking about funding, how did it kickstart? I have to take you back. Was it shopping or how was it funded?
Yeah. No, so you see, that's what I said. So you see, I started the business, right? So we incorporated, so for us, right, my co-founder and I, so the core thesis has always been, so we're very passionate about technology and we're good at it, but one thing else we're also passionate about is impact, right? So we don't really care, I don't really care that much about trying to be like a billionaire or like a trillionaire. I think value is when you create value, the money will come. But for us is how can we create like massive impact? So when we started out the company, right, we didn't start out with funding. I'd come through Mascot. I was offered funding, but I didn't quite take it. So we bootstrapped for a bit, right? So we bootstrapped for a bit. So those like first 1 year to 2 year when we're trying to figure out what exactly the product was and try to scale it and all that. We were hustling, right? Because we're tech guys, we do projects for people. So we bootstrapped, right? We do projects for people, and use that to basically fund ourselves while so for those first 2 years, we basically we didn't take any salary. We're just like consulting for people here and there. And then just using that to stay afloat till we figured out the product. Of course, when you're doing that, you need to know exactly what goal you're trying to achieve. And at that point, we were trying to find a product that could scale. And at different point it was different things. So at some point it was okay, let's build out this product. At this point it was let's try it out, let's validate this. So when we had figured out what problem we were solving and what could scale, we obviously proceeded in doing competitions, applying to accelerator programs, and by God's grace we were able to get into a few. And those allowed us. I think also during the period where we were bootstrapping, we also got like a few grants. I know we did the Tony Elimelu thing back then. It was one of the grants that also kept us afloat. We did a pre-accelerator program as well in Dubai. So we did a few things. So what we were doing was when we were bootstrapping, we were consulting, and then we were applying to programs that could give us grants to stay afloat.
What, yeah?
Okay, so you with this business, I know it's highly technology driven, but how do you look at your assets from the perspective of employees? How many employees do you have, and how have you been able to ensure that your employees are happy, towards ensuring that the business is continually going forward?
Yeah, well, I like to see, right? So obviously, I think that the value of a company, or every company, is a function of the quality of a company is the quality of the people, right? So our people are our assets, right? So, in the beginning it was my co-founder and I, and then, we're still a founder-led team. We're still a very small team. I think we're currently maybe around 20 people at the moment. Again, because we're a software company, we like the idea that you can get a lot done with like few people, right? So currently we're working with, like I said, we have clients in three markets, and we're trying to get that to 10 before the end of the year or early next year. And in those markets, so for instance, in Nigeria, we're probably working with, close to, 1,500 hospitals. So the goal is to obviously grow the team, but try to make as much impact as possible with as small number as possible. And for us, where our culture is, hard work and fun, being passionate and determined. So we try to make people happy. We're a fully remote company at the moment. So we were kind of like, our DNA as a company in the beginning was remote, and then we did a bit of office, and then COVID made us go back to being fully remote. So right now we're starting to sort of like scale our team across not just Nigeria but in other countries. So start to get team members in some of the other countries where we're present. And how do we make people happy, right? So I guess it's making sure that we get people who are passionate about what we are passionate about in the beginning. So one thing we always make sure of is that people who are joining us really love what they are coming to do. So if you're a designer, then you're very passionate about it, and you care about the things we care about. And just giving people the kind of work that they care about. We haven't become that big, where we're doing office politics and doing all this. So just allowing people to do the work they love to do, and hoping that they enjoy it, and at the end of the day, compensate them for the work they've done, and get out of their way to do what they love to do. That's the way we think about it.
Right. It's time for us to take a short break. We'll be back in a moment. Terry, we're back up.
Oh, welcome back to the show, Henry. You mentioned something about. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
You mentioned something about starting off remote, then getting into the office, and then COVID-19 brought you back to working remote. What has been, aside from COVID-19, what other challenges are peculiar to your type of business, and how do you deal with them?
What kind of challenges are peculiar to our type of business? So we're a SaaS company, right? We're software as a service, and we're enterprise. And so enterprise, so I would think one of the basic key challenges is being enterprise. So it takes a bit of time so when you see that in 2 years, starting this in 2 years, and we have about 10 insurance companies, and some of them are the really big ones, it's quite an achievement, right? Because this enterprise deals take quite a bit of time, right? It takes 6 months, a year to close these deals. So that's one of the key challenges, being an enterprise business as well. So with that, implementation also takes a bit of time as well. So I think that's one of the key. If I think about what are the key challenges, it's long sales cycles as well. And then now, as we're starting to scale, in multiple markets, being able to support those people, because ideally we'd want to be able to do those supports without being physically present. So there's an element of, as you start to scale, where it requires a bit of being physically present in some of those markets to make sure that things happen fast. So I'd say, sales cycle, implementation timelines, that's one of the key. Obviously, being being a pre-seed company at the moment, being able to find the right talent, because again, you don't have as much money as some of the big companies, so you have to be lean. So there's also the part of finding talent. That's also one of the important things, because at the end, like I said, the quality of the company is the quality of the people. So being able to find people who are passionate about what you're passionate about, and then being able to incentivize them to be able to join the company before the company becomes a big company and can pay them, a ton of money. So I'd like to say those are the three key things. There may be a final one around, just being able to get the right traction to get investors. But yeah, I'd stay with the top three.
All right. You mentioned at the start of the program, you mentioned AI. In what business do you deploy AI, and how does that work?
Yeah. So again, like I said, one thing we're very passionate about is tech, right? So we believe that we should be able to create something different, something bleeding edge to solve the existing problems. So we looked at how people were solving the claims automation, fraud detection problem, in other developed markets. And there are big companies, like Shift Technology. This guy just got $220 million 2 weeks ago. I think a $2 billion company now. So there are companies like that who are basically, deploying AI to be able to do fraud detection. So for us, it's we're looking at two core verticals. So we're looking at the health insurance vertical, and then the general insurance vertical, starting out of auto insurance, right? And so there are a couple of places where we're applying AI in doing fraud detection. So typically when a hospital submits a claim to an insurance company, to a health insurance company, you typically do require people with medical background, nurses, doctors, to be able to do what you call claims adjudication, right? So one of the reasons, doing claims processing in a hospital, you submit a claim, it takes a couple of months for it to get paid out, is because insurance companies need to do two things, right? So they need to be able to do, first of all, do fraud detection on the claim. So go through it, check the prices, check the tariff, make sure the claims that the person who the claim is submitted for has a valid policy, and then start to check the clinical. Say you have malaria, the drug given to you or the medication given to you, the investigation, are they relevant? So all those things we now automate with AI, right? So when the claims come in, our AI engine is basically able to do all that stuff that a human being would do. So that's one of the places we use it. And in the auto product, the way we use it is, you hit a car, you take a picture, and you do a claim. We're able to do what you call damage classification. So we can recognize which parts of the car are damaged, and then we can do claim estimation. We can figure out, okay, what's the price for this car part. So when you submitted a claim and you say, okay, I want to be paid ₦1 million for this claim, we can off the pad know that should only cost $200K as well. So there are a few other places, obviously internally that we use it, but this would be the core key places.
So are you up against competition? What's competition like?
Yeah, of course. Like I said, so in more mature markets, where so again, when we think about health insurance, when we think about insurance generally, right? There are a couple of people who are also building infrastructure. Lamy just raised 1.8 million 2 weeks ago. There are a couple of people who are building infrastructure, right? We don't typically like to think that it's competition, because the market is still young, that people are solving the same problem in different ways, right? So when it comes to claims automation with our claims product, there are a couple of people doing great work. There are a couple of companies out there solving in a different way. But where kind of our approach is unique in the sense that so some of the competition in Nigeria and some of the markets, they would do what you call ERPs. They would build out full systems for insurance companies. that's a different approach. There are people, again, like I said, who would like do different things, like maybe Lamy building out a different type of insurance stack. But yeah, so that's the way we think. We wouldn't think about most of it as competition. It's just people trying to do the same, driving up insurance inclusion, but with like different approaches and different strategies. If we think about direct competition, people who are doing exactly what we're doing, there are a few companies, in East Africa, there's Smart, in Ghana, there's a company like RX Health doing claims automation. In Nigeria, there's also a few of them as well.
Okay, time is never a friend on this show, like we see every week. There are two questions that we'll need to ask you before we go. I'll take the next one, and if I or Bukola will take the last one. Where do you see the business in 10 years?
Right. So for us, right, it really is being able to see how can we grow insurance penetration across the continent, and then also beyond. So what we'll be happy with is, between now and another 10 years, we have presence across emerging markets. So being present across most of the valuable markets in Africa, Latin America, and Southeast Asia as well. So this obviously means spanning across, hundreds of insurance clients across these markets. So that's kind of like the metric I like to use. Obviously, at that point, so that's the core part of when we look at it, is having presence across those emerging markets.
All right. And lastly, what is your guiding light? What quote guides you in the morning when you wake up in the morning, and in your difficult times, and even in your happy times? What quote is that?
Yeah. So it's a good question. What quote drives me, right? Let's see. What's that again? It's building a world where people love what they do and have the opportunity to achieve economic prosperity for themselves and their family.
That's such an economic one. Such an economic quote.
No, so it's two things, right? It's people who love doing what they love to do, but again, being able to provide. Again, why this is important, right? Because you see a ton of the people in the continent are not necessarily in that place where they can provide for themselves and their family. So being able to make a difference in the way that people are empowered. I used to run this show on Clubhouse. Well, we still do run it, driving prosperity in Africa, right? So and it's part of the thing. So we bring like experts to just come and talk about how can Africa grow and develop. So that's really what drives me. So that quote is it's not about becoming a billionaire, but it's being able to take care of your family. Yeah.
All right. Thank you for coming on this show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much once again. This has been Business Alpha, sponsored by Unity Bank, a partnership between Classic 97.3 FM and Nairametrics. It's been a pleasure being here again this morning. Looking forward to speaking to you and seeing you next week, Monday. Have a great week ahead, everyone.
All right. Cheers.